Just straight away, I mean, the question is, just so I understand the VDIN and the Citrix kind of platform thing, does that mean like, so I need to buy a new home computer, have the ancient Dell cranking away, wheezing away in the corner. So I don't really need to buy anything now other than an internet connection and a screen. Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't need to buy a computer preloaded with Mac OS Lion.
The thin
Or
client,
I don't need to buy a laptop with preloaded Windows 8.
potentially, yeah.
I just need to go in and buy one thing. And
Potentially, yeah. From a home, home is slightly different to a working environment.
okay, we'll say the home is part of my work interface.
Okay,
Right?
yeah. So once you have your business applications loaded in a virtual manner, you can then access them on any device. They're not tied to device. And so I skimmed over it because we were slightly over on time. But the decoupling of all those components, which are the hardware layer, the operating system, the user profile, all that information, once that's stuck together on a device, as Declan said, and the PC goes down, you're sort of stuffed. Thin clients now are available. There's a thin client out. I didn't put the slide up. It's €190, and that's a solid state device that connects to the internet. You can have them with OS systems on it, but why would you? Once you can connect to the internet, if you have an ability to maybe serve applications through Office 365, if the majority of your applications are Microsoft Office, and anything else is you can get a software as a service, like lots of your software, like Sage, for example, now is a cloud offering. So all of the financial systems you can have as online access to them. Potentially you don't need anything else which is a connection to the internet. But for most businesses, they still want to have the touch and feel of being able to do things offline, because the internet in Ireland isn't everywhere. So it's being able to mix and match. But maybe the benefit is having your key critical information served from the cloud, and then just accessing it when you need to.
Because you're right, in your organisation, if you're running XP and you buy a new PC today, you're going to get Windows 7.
Yeah.
And now you need to run a mix of XP and Windows 7 in your organisation. That's a real challenge, I think, in a smaller organisation.
But you're making an assumption here that these businesses are in an area that have good broadband connectivity. You know, this is a major, we were down in Cork last week talking to a major, well, a very large architectural firm who have offices in Dublin, offices in London, whatever, and they just cannot get that service.
That's true, absolutely. And so that virtualization piece we're talking about can run on-premise. You don't need to be connected to the cloud for that. That can run on-premise. So as an easy way of managing your PCs, you don't need to connect to the internet at all. But if you wanted to go to the cloud for 365, or if you wanted to do infrastructure as a service, you're right, you need a good internet connection. And you're right, that isn't as good as it should be in many parts of Ireland.
So what can Unity do for the small enterprise turning over $500,000, maybe less a year?
The first thing we do, visit you, talk about the pain that you're having, talk about where you want to get to, we'll do an analysis of what you have, and we'll be honest with you, because the upturn is coming in, and if it's not right for you today, we won't sell it to you today. It's much better for us to have you as a satisfied customer when that upturn comes, you'll come back to us and spend the money then. So we will not sell you something that doesn't give you advantage in your business. Give us a ring, we'll come out and we'll talk to you. No obligations, no strings, we'll just simply come and talk about where you are in your cycle, where you are in your business, and what you're hoping to achieve. And then from what we can do, in terms of that, the boring layer, we can say, well, here's your options. What we won't be able to do is tell you whether or not, as I said, Facebook is a good way of advertising your wares out to your consumers, because we don't know that part of the business. So we will stay where we're strong.
I mean, for example, Keep It Safe have a free package for the micro companies, maybe they can store up to 1 gig of.
Don't have a free package as such. There is a trial basis. So we do something like a 30-day trial for people. But I think sometimes with a trial it's a little bit hard, unless the customer wants to get involved and doing restores and checking back reports with us and stuff like that. You know,
is that a monthly fee?
It's usually a monthly fee.
So what would the basic
annual subscription?
What would the basic cost be?
It's how long is a piece of string. It really depends on the amount of data that's stored and the amount of sites and servers that data is stored on. So like our starter package starts at €360 for the year, which would cover up to maybe 5 gigabytes of data with a retention period built in and a growth allowance built in. So it really depends on where the storage is at.
Or is that 5 gig of data? Just 5 gig of data?
Yeah, that's just 5 gigabytes of data, yeah. So that would be a starting package. But you know, it becomes, obviously, as it scales up, it becomes much cheaper per gigabyte. Obviously, the account needs to be managed and monitored, you know, on the lower end as well as the higher end.
That seems reasonable. I know there's costs, business costs, but I mean, say take an architecture, an architect sole trader working from their home, working on projects. Do you see that as a benefit to use a business to have your information safe?
We bilocate, so I use Dropbox. Who doesn't use Dropbox?
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone uses Dropbox.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
You know, it means that I can go. I did do a small project in Australia. Went across to Australia. Everything is on Dropbox. Whack, off you go, and that's it. So you can kind of, it's there and you can use it. Yeah. So I don't know. We do back up to some place. I'm not sure which company it is that we do back up to. The IT clever person in the office organises, so we do that. But we also, you know, belts and braces. We also have tapes and hard drives. You know, fanatic.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just caution. You know, I mean, the danger with all the virtual stuff, and presumably everyone's the same. What if the internet connection goes down just when you need it most? Or what if power cuts out? I mean, we all have little battery backups, but suppose there was a really bad situation where you have no power because of snow, 48 hours or something like that, and your batteries run down and all the rest. I mean, where are you then? You know, you're nowhere. Putting all your eggs in one basket is good in one sense and bad and terrifying in another. Yeah. I mean, you are suggesting putting all your eggs in one basket in a country which simply cannot guarantee power supply or internet access.
And you're
There's no guarantee.
And it's not one size fits all. Absolutely not. All we try to do here is say there's some of the options that are available. It's not right for everyone. You're absolutely right.
But in terms of where we're moving to as an industry, and where Ireland is moving to, the assumption is that in the next 3 to 5 years, that broadband will be a lot more pervasive in the marketplace. The iPad I have is just a 3G card, so I'm able to work effectively on a 3G card because the information isn't moving up and down the pipe. So as long as I have a 3G card, I have access to the office, and so being able to access information via 3G is not as good as broadband. It's not as good as being on net or on my network. Well, it's pretty effective for somebody who's out of the office.
In that case.
Yeah, so it isn't the case of the answer is one size fits all. What we're showing and what we're highlighting is the trends and the things that are moving in the marketplace. And where we were 2 years ago, where we were 5 years ago, is a completely different world. Where it'll be in the next 2 years, that's the debate.
This is a matter of interest with the current downturn presently, and you know, little likelihood of changing in the immediate future. Are SMEs or are businesses sort of looking at IT more seriously now?
I think,
aside from the big companies now that have the budget.
Yeah, and lots of our, lots of our customers are SMEs. I mean, that was the history of what was Calix, and so we've many SME customers. I think what they're doing is they're doing two things. One, they're looking to take out costs where they don't need to have costs. So if there's a better, cheaper way of doing it, they're looking to do that. Especially if they've come to a point where their IT infrastructure is creaky and they want to avoid a capital cost. So they don't want to be spending that hard cash on buying a new server or a new PC. They will definitely come to us.
I mean, hardware is relatively inexpensive. Relatively, PCs, whatever.
Yeah.
Where I see that, I don't know if we can allude to this, construction businesses, it's the cost of the software that you have to buy and so on. So I think where there is traction is in this whole area of sort of buying, renting the software, and the idea that you can opt in and opt out.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that something that people are doing, or, I mean, I know we have one of the vendors are here, Bentley, are here this morning. I mean, is that something that, you know, you're offering your clients now?
No, I mean, we're not offering it yet, but I know it's, as you said, it's something that is coming down the tracks, yes. But what I'm finding is that we run a maintenance agreement with our users. And what I'm finding is that people are obviously cutting back on that. So, you know, yes, it's, I mean, you're trying to always get money in to keep your business going, not necessarily growing, but just turning over. So you're trying to see where people are actually trying to pull things back.
So rather than buying a license that you may not get full utilization for over a year or so, you can rent as and when you need the software.
Well, certainly there's rental options out there, yeah.
I think the challenge, Alan, is if you've already bought 5 licenses or whatever that application is, then it's difficult to persuade that software manufacturer to say, you know, I want a reduced rate now to use it because I don't want to use 2 years of it. I think that's the challenge. I think so it hasn't reached that inflection point yet in that software rental business yet. I think it will, when you decide, when the upturn does come and you decide I need 3 more licenses of that, now you'll be saying, okay, I don't want to buy those 3 licenses, but I will rent 3 from the software vendor. But I think just where we are now, people have bought the licenses because they had no choice over the last number of years. You had to buy the license and install it on your PC. If you already have that, it's very difficult then to decide and switch to the rental model.
Okay, we're running bang on time, are we? Okay, if we have any other questions for the 3 speakers, I'd just like to say thank you again for coming along. I think the message you had this morning was great. I think we could well bring this message to a larger audience in the future. And but anything that helps our members we're interested in. But the message out there is that they need to drive down their monthly costs, their IT costs. So it has to be affordable and scalable and business-like, you know. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.